that's just gathered in the hall. Yes, really dark. Sat there, didn't laugh or applaud or anything at any point, just sat there kind of cross-armed right by the aisle so we can make a quick getaway. It was really, really, really daunting. And there's a point in the show where I sort of made a joke about a misunderstanding about underage groupies, and you know when you've got someone in a room. You know when you've got someone in a room and you're really hoping they're enjoying your jokes and everything, and you find yourself looking at them too much to see if they're responding. That gag's quite early on in the show, and I realised as I sort of made it, I kind of looked at him to see if he was laughing, and he wasn't, and I spent the whole rest of the show thinking, shit, did he think...
We're on air, don't swear.
Oh dear! Did he think that?
Thanks. No one noticed.
No,
don't worry.
Was that some kind? I felt terrible about not that. It was just,
of course, it wasn't intended for him.
Everything that was in the air at the time, it was excruciating. So I don't know.
Well, I got introduced to him very briefly once because I went to a screening of one of his films and he did a Q&A, and afterwards you could ask questions. And somebody asked him, "Do you ever? Why do you never act more in other people's films and projects?" And at the time we were doing extras, and obviously it would be amazing to have. So I put my hand up because I was going to ask him, would you like to be in our project? I thought, he can't say no now. He's just said no one ever asked me. And
he said no one ever asked me. That was his answer.
Exactly, that was his answer to the first question. So anyway, a woman puts her hand up in front of me, and they throw up to us, and I think that the adjudicator meant me, but being the gentleman, I said, "Did you mean this lady?" She asked the question. That was the last question of the routine. So I didn't get to ask, would he be in the thing? But then I ran downstairs quickly and accidentally bumped into him. Someone introduced me. Never seen a man less interested. I mean, just kind of not just not interested in me, but just not interested in shaking a hand with someone else. Well, he's a very eccentric.
This is sort of what I sort of got. I'm sort of pleased I didn't meet him because he's such a hero. I got a letter. I say like a 2-line letter. Next day saying thank you for the tickets to the show. It was interesting. It was adequate, but not signed by him. Just typed Woody Allen. Clearly, not even from his own mind, let alone his own pen.
But they say never meet your heroes because there'll always be a disappointment. And that was why when I met you, it was extraordinary because you
I lived up to it and more.
Exactly,
it is rare. It
was extraordinary. Yeah. Did you feel the same way when you met me?
Not in a huge way. No. I mean, you're.
I was just taller. Shorter. Okay. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about some of the exciting new TV work that
there's a lot coming up. I would perhaps suggest if listeners have a pad and pen, because there's quite a lot to mention.
Sure.
There is a new series of Trick and or Treat coming up, which is next Friday, and that's a big next Friday for me because on that same next Friday I'm also opening in town again, London. Doing my show.
Now, are you intimidated by performing live in front of people? Because it seems to me, I mean, doing magic, illusion, whatever you want to call it, what is the term that you prefer?
Guessing.
When you're trying to do guessing in front of paid public, does that make you edgy? Does it make you nervous?
No, I love it. I would happily just do that and never do any more TV ever again.
Really?
I find TV fatuous. Love doing the live stuff, and it's a really fun thing, and it's a fun show, and it's a lot of things. The TV isn't necessarily fun. There's not a lot of humour in it. It can be quite so dark. A lot of it was the stage stuff is a lot more fun.
And can you give it a sense of what we would expect from a Derren Brown live show if we were going to see it? Value for money.
Pardon?
Value for money?
Definitely value for money. Ooh, value for money. If nothing else, value for money. It's 2 hours.
So that's value for money right there.
And it's probably about £25, so that breaks down to about £12.50 an hour.
Okay.
I think that represents
roughly
value for money.
Yeah. Comfy seat.
Yes,
London's fashionable West End.
In the it's the Garrick Theatre, which is
lovely theatre.
I slipped that in.
Yeah.
And it's me. Even if I was just taking questions about my career,
sure, that would be
worth something.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
But what can people? I mean, without obviously giving anything away, is what is it about the live show that people will want to come out and spend? That's quite a lot of money to spend.
But equally, if you put all that money together and think what I earn,
yes,
what you give with one hand, you take with the other.
Yeah.
So it's lots of audience participation. I throw frisbees out into the audience to choose people. So and it's quite a compact sort of theatre. So everybody is at risk
of being kind of guest,
being a guest on stage.
Yeah.
There's it's in the last one I did, which was on TV. I did this sort of glass walking.
That's right, where you end up with your face in glass.
In glass and stuff. So that was kind of a bit of a sideways step into that kind of geeky carnival kind of area. So this is going back into sort of more traditional mind reading, back to the kind of 1930s when it was had its heyday, so I was just throwing up a bit of lemon cob. Whatever it is.
We'll auction that off later for charity.
Yeah, no worries. I'll leave it there. It was, so this is kind of proper, kind of pure mind reading, and I just love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
see,
it.
because I've recently returned to the stage.
You have,
to
haven't you?
overwhelming indifference, and one of the things I find, I can't bear the idea of people that I know being in the audience. I find it absolutely
Really?
terrifying. The closest analogy I can give is if you were to do your driving test and you had your close friend in the back seat, although you know they're rooting for you,
Yeah.
it just makes it all the more intense. And so the idea of anyone I know, family, friends, lovers,
Whitley
being
invited
there.
me every night.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
I
It's
don't know what
curious.
that means.
But I find it's so strange to me that you're so comfortable performing.
Well, I think maybe it's because if you're just doing it night after night, it's actually quite so much. It's a 2-hour one-man show. So, as a performer, there's a real, not necessarily of any interest to anybody else, but the challenge and the fun of it is keeping it very present and in the moment, and not just sort of going through the same thing every night. And I think anything that's a bit different, friends in the audience, things that are slightly different that night.
But it's the fear of surely the fear of the illusions or the tricks going wrong. Does that not?
No, that's the joy. That's the tension of it. It's
You're weird.
Oh, it's lovely. It's nice that I've never quite had that thing of which you may do because you're more shallow than I am, but that kind of really getting off on the applause and the laughter.
Sure,
I've never had that. Performers talk about that. I never quite, which is lucky.
Yes,
ain't a lot of it in the show. But having I can't remember. Yeah, it's great.
Well, thanks very much. Listen, before we talk more to you and then send you away, a musical choice. It seems impolite to eat cake while you're still on the radio.
I was technically eating it while you were on the radio.
Okay, all right.
While I paint at home, I always listen to Rufus Wainwright.
Do you?
I do. I'm a big fan. I don't listen to a lot of modern, the sort of chart music that you play, music from the Hit Parade. I don't play a lot of that.
Well, because you live in the 19th century.
It's just it's different. So, having gone through my sort of madrigal collection,
Yes.
I thought I'd listen to something more upbeat. So, I got into Rufus Wainwright, me playing a lot of him. So, I listened to the same albums over and over again. So I thought a popular choice might be
The one we got, thanks.
the one we got.
The choice of Darren Brown on today's Steve Show, Rufus Wainwright and Oh What a World from, which album was it, Darren?
From Want One.
There you are, thank you very much indeed, and we'd picture you painting while listening to that.
Over and over again.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the TV show, forthcoming TV show. I've been a massive fan, as you know. I'm trying to pretend that we don't know each other.
Socially, yeah.
But it's
weird seeing
awkward,
you
isn't it?
with your shirt on.
It's strange, isn't it? I know. But I've not ironed it. I felt guilty as well. I didn't think you were coming. I thought we were just going to talk on the phone. I know you're quite sort of
Particularly
elegant.
about creases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's give the illusion that we don't know each other. Nice to meet you.
Love to meet you, Ricky.
But the TV show. What can we expect from this one? Because it must be quite difficult to sort of constantly up the ante, having sort of already almost killed yourself on TV. Must be quite tricky to think of something to top that.
Yeah, I almost killed somebody else in this one. Yeah, I was up at 4:30 in the morning pushing a girl into a lake. Literally, tying her in a sack, pushing her in a lake. So that's one of the things.
We can look forward to that.
Look forward to that. Yeah, it's trick or treat again. So it's people picking experiences that then will be good or bad. Got David Tennant on it.
Right.
It's very nice. Have you ever met him?
Yes,
Interviewed
lovely
him?
man. Yes.
Lovely, absolutely lovely guy. So here's the sort of celebrity episode.
Yes.
A nice mix of the first one goes out next Friday, and it's a guy who I train up to enter a pub quiz, the pub quiz champion of championships, the big sort of national doodah thing, and basically get him to learn everything using kind of speed reading and photo reading technique, just learn everything for a week, and then he goes in, the only person playing on his own, all the others are like professional teams,
yes,
6 or 7 people that just do this all their lives. So that was good fun. That was a nice one, balanced with pushing a girl into a lake.
Yeah. Because one of the last ones, some of them, I mean, has there been criticism of some of the kind of more disturbing elements?
No.
Well, I'm going to criticise it now because there was one where a woman sort of saw herself as though she'd had a crash.
Yes,
that was quite chilling.
Yeah, sometimes these things come out of. I sit around with Andy, who I think you've met, who's my sort of writing partner. We sit around coming up with these ideas. Not going to get bogged down in little things, and one of us, normally me, will go, well, look, can't we just think a bit bigger? Imagine somebody woke up and they saw themselves been a car crash and, you know, they'd saw themselves, you know, and so they all know you couldn't do that, that'd be awful and distasteful. And then you start to sort of niggling away at your mind, you find a way of doing it that isn't distasteful and works. And one thing I will say is they always have an amazing time, even for those dark things. The people that take part in it love it, always find it exhilarating and, you know, treated really, really well. So although it can look bleak and irresponsible, you know, it never is.
Do you feel that that there's a sort of problem, you know, now that everyone's lost faith with television, there's endless deceit, particularly at the BBC, guests on radio shows aren't the real thing, you know, for instance, you're Alistair McGowan right now, but do you find it's kind of hard to convince people on the TV show that these people are not just stooges and that they are real members of the public? Because that's the sort of thing that my mother will say, no, they're obviously all switch off.
There's nothing you can really do. I mean, you're always going to. People can always think that you're seeing a little box in the corner of your room. It's not the same as seeing it live in the theatre, which is another reason why I enjoy that. But you know, the idea of either having to pay those people off over the years, or that they're real people, but you somehow just make it in the edit suite. The actual, you know, then again they'd all be seeing it, thinking, well, that's not what happened. So it's not real psychic powers, but it's not just, you know, TV fakes.
But you must have some pretty creepy fans who are convinced that because when I first met you did tricks on me that were so extraordinary. I thought you must have superpowers. I mean, I feel like you are crimes. Do you know what I mean? It would be fantastic to just see you just fighting crime and evil, or maybe turn your powers for evil.
For evil, yes.
I think that's something we're all terrified of, when Darren turns bad.
I don't know what I'd do.
But you could fool people, you know.
I could eat too much of that cob. Before going out for lunch. That's a small power.
It's not evil.
It insidiously works its way.
But you've made people sort of lose their mind, and you've made people give you money when they didn't intend to, and all sorts. I mean, you could...
Not all sorts, just money.
Just money.
Yeah, I never asked for all sorts.
You never... Sure, they're easy to buy. You can do it with the money.
Yeah.
No, obviously, therefore, it's good to know that you're sort of honest and true.
I'm on the good side. I'm on the good side. Yes, no, never done anything really bad with it. Yes.
Quick question I got, because Rufus is a big Magic fan and something of a amateur magician himself. I'm sure he's going to have a question for Dee Brown.
Well, my question was going to be that I kind of Steve and I are both amateur card magicians.
Really?
Yeah, and
you've kept that hidden from me, Steve. I think. Yeah. Okay.
and I'm kind of I'm a very young and unambitious student in the history of magic, but I kind of read a few of these. I'm reading that book about the Centre Deal at the moment, the Magician, the Card Sharp. Are you still? Have you kind of left that scholarship aside, or do you still kind of read up about old kind of about Houdini and New York in the 30s and all that kind of stuff, that kind of card magic stuff?
I've left some of it behind because out of sheer weight of work, there's not a lot of time for me to be thinking about other things than what I have to be coming up with at that very moment. And it's actually quite nice then, if I'm going to read anything else, to read stuff that isn't related to it.
Yeah.
So, but for years that's what I did. The sort of the card magic and the sleight of hand. That absolutely was my thing, and I had a reputation amongst magicians for doing that. And it's what is sad is how quickly you lose it, and how if someone hands me a deck of cards and I say, "Oh, go on, show us the trick," I'm really stuck, and
really?
that feels real.
Darren, I've brought a pack of cards in.
Yeah.
I haven't, of course. That would be insane. I'm going to show you one of mine during the next record.
Okay, you could just make it up.
I could, yes. Was that your card?
Yeah. I was just thinking of that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sammy. A quick question from you for Darren.
Does it upset you or annoy you when people think you genuinely have mind-reading powers, when you do things with people in the street and they go ape? Do you just think, oh, bless them, or does it actually annoy you, or...?
No, no, not at all. There's a really fine line that I have to kind of tread in terms of what message I'm giving out, because the ambiguity of it is important. That kind of, oh, how's he doing it? If I just said this is how I'm doing it all the time, it would take away a big element of it. So there's kind of a bell curve, and at one extreme you've got people that say, oh, it's all stooges, like your mum, and at the other extreme it's people that think, no, it's genuinely psychic, or it's whatever, or he's really able to ... And you kind of have to let those people get on with it. I'm always honest. I'm dishonest, but I'm honest about my dishonesty, and I'm always clear about that.